Hi everyone, welcome back to Curve and Stitch. In today's video, you'll be learning how to add seam allowance to your sewing patterns. This is a key step in pattern drafting, and once you learn it, sewing will become much easier and more accurate. So grab your tools and let's get started. First, what exactly is seam allowance? Seam allowance is the extra space we add around the edge of a pattern so that we can sew the fabric pieces together without changing the final size of the garment. Think of it as your sewing margin. It gives you room to stitch. Here's a simple guide on how much seam allowance you will need. Let's say we are working on a bodice block. Here's how to add seam allowance. Trace your pattern on a fresh sheet of paper. Label all important points: center front, side seam, shoulder, armhole, neckline. So use your measuring tape to measure out the seam allowance. So from each edge of your pattern, measure outward from the original cutting line the amount of seam allowance you want to add to your pattern. For example, I am using 2.5 centimeters for the zip allowance. So from the center back line, I'll measure and mark 2.5 centimeters and mark several points. Then draw a line with a different color like so. Then measure and mark 2.5 centimeters for the hem. Mark several points with dots like so. Then 2.5 centimeters for the side seam. Then mark with dots like so. Join the side seam allowance points to create the side seam allowance line like so. Then join the hem allowance point with a straight line to create the hem allowance line like so. Then I used 1.5 centimeters for the armhole, shoulder, and then the neckline. Mark small dashes all around at the measurement. Connect the dots smoothly. For curve areas, use your French curve or curve ruler for clean, even lines. Measure and mark the seam allowance at several points along the edge. Then draw a line parallel to it. On each finished pattern piece, write down the pattern name, the cutting instruction, grain lines, notches, then the seam allowance value you added to the pattern. Once you've added all seam allowance lines and label the pieces, cut along the new outer line. This is your final pattern with seam allowance included and ready to be cut on a fabric. If you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and share with a sewing friend. See you in my next one.